Guys, welcome back. It is Racer X, and I am actually on my way to AutoNation Dodge, which is on the north side of Fort Worth, Texas, actually North Richland Hills. But they called me and said, listen, Racer X, we have a really neat vehicle we'd like for you to showcase on your channel. And they told me about it, and I am actually really excited to bring it to you today, guys. So it should be a fun one. Also, if you are new to my channel, make sure you slap the subscribe button. Also, make sure you follow me on Instagram, hit that notification bell for more great content, and we are off. We got the 1,000 horsepower helmet. Well, guys, there it is. It is the 2020 Challenger Super Stock. Now, this is one of only 200 made for this year. Now, I will point out, this is not a serialized in terms of limited production car, but it certainly is for 2020. And believe it or not, this is actually the very first one. It is an absolutely beautiful car. You can see it actually looks a lot like a Demon. I'm going to get into some of the specs on this, tell you what the difference is between the Demon and the normal Redeye, and actually take it for a quick spin and let you guys know what my driving impression is. It should be fun. So back in 2018, when Dodge released the Dodge Demon, there was so much hype around that car, and those units sold out so fast. You're talking basically 3,000 US units, and also an additional 300 for the units outside of the US. So it was extremely hard to get your hands on one. I know that firsthand. Now, so Dodge had such luck with that car, they decided to make 2020 and 2021 a pretty cool year because they wanted to come out with the Super Stock, which essentially is a Demon without the Demon crate. As you can see, you've got the wheels behind me. That is a telltale sign of a Demon. Of course, it's not a Demon because it doesn't have a Demon hood. So let's take a closer look at this thing. So for somebody who really doesn't know what they're looking at, this looks like a just normal HELLCAT wide body, essentially. Now, I will point out that the Super Stock is only available in a wide body, just like the Demon. Now, where you can really tell the difference between this and a normal Redeye HELLCAT, of course, is in the wheels. That's really the one telltale sign of a Super Stock, is the fact that it has the Demon wheels. And what kind of wheels are these? These are the Nitto NT05s. This is an 11-inch wheel. You get those on all four corners, and this is a factory drag radial, just like they had on the Demon. Now, of course, we know the 1320 Scat Pack also has a drag radial from the factory, but it is a different drag radial. So yes, that is the exact same wheel that you would get on a Demon, really wide, and of course the wide body allows us to put that meat underneath the back of this car. And one other thing I do want to mention just really quick, as you can see, this actually has the front brake setup from a Demon and not a Redeye. We know the Redeye comes with that big 6-piston Brembo setup. Well, this one, like I said, just like the Demon, has the smaller 4-piston Brembo setup, which is much lighter. So also something to consider. Next, I want to talk about the power plant in the Super Stock. This is the most powerful muscle car in the world right now, so the most powerful thing you can buy. And of course, this has the same engine that you get essentially in the Redeye. It's that 2.7 liter blower sitting on top of that iron block 6.2 liter Hemi engine. And this thing has a ton of punch, 807 horsepower. And some people say, well, Racer X, why would the Super Stock have 10 more horsepower than the regular Redeye? Well, it's all really in the calibration. And to be honest with you, when you dyno these two cars, probably dyno right about the same. And of course, they managed, Dodge, FCA, they actually managed to rate this at 807, which just so happens to be 1 horsepower shy of the Demon. But I do assure you, same intake, same basic everything that you find on the Demon. Dodge just decided to put it out at 1 less horsepower. On the dyno, I promise you it would be exactly the same. But a fantastic, very punchy Hemi in this thing, and that's what makes it so fast. I also want to talk about the numbers that this car is capable of. So Dodge claims that this thing will run 3.25 seconds, 0 to 60 on the street. Not too shabby. And of course, 10.5 in the quarter, which is actually faster than they rate the Redeye at. Now, a lot of that has to do with the drag radials on the car. Now, when the Demon came out back in 2018, they went crazy with the numbers on that car. And there's this there's a huge debate about, was that the right thing for Dodge to do? Because they said that car could run a 965 at 140 miles an hour. And then everybody that had a Demon tried to replicate that time, and it was basically impossible. As we know, we had Leah Pritchett driving. It was a mass traction event down in Florida, crazy DA, all of, and of course they had the crate on that too. So race gas tune, as we know, the Super Stock does not come with the crate or the race gas tune. Not to say you couldn't tune your car and do the exact same thing that would come in the Demon crate. But really the big thing is why is this thing rated at 10.5 seconds in the quarter mile when the Demon was almost a full second faster? Think about it this way. The Demon really, this is basically a Demon without the trans brake. Everything else carries over, the killer chiller and all of the different components that went into to the blower to make that thing fast in terms of torque reserve. There's just a lot of stuff that carried over from the Demon, basically everything except for the trans brake. So how could a trans brake really make that big a difference, almost a full second in the quarter mile? The answer is it doesn't. So at the end of the day, Dodge did themselves a little bit of a disservice by saying, hey, look, this thing will run a 965. I know what they were trying to do, and I get it, right? They wanted to make the fastest production car in the world at under 100 grand, too, to boot. That's pretty impressive. But here's the other thing. They didn't make the same mistake with the Redeye. They said this thing will run the Redeye will run like 10.8. They said the Super Stock will run like a 10.5. But here's the thing. On the strip, I guarantee you this thing will run faster than a 10.5. So they did not make the same mistake that they did with the Demon. They said, look, we think this thing will run a 10.5. It will run faster. When guys start getting a hold of these and putting them through the track, even in stock form, I really do feel like 10.5 is kind of a number that will be very easy to attain for most drivers. And I give Dodge a lot of credit for that. One of the things I cannot forget to mention about this particular engine is it has beefier internals. The normal Redeye does, the Super Stock, and the Demon. Basic, same engine, right? It has beefier internals than you would find on the standard HELLCAT. I do need to mention that. Now, the Super Stock comes with the 309 gears in it standard. That's the gearing you get in this car, whereas with the Redeye, you have the option of selecting a 309 or the 262s. So like I said, this is set up exactly like you would find from the Demon, except the diff in the Demon actually had like a little demon head on it or something like that, but it's basically the exact same setup. One of the things that obviously makes the Super Stock special over the normal Redeye is the suspension that comes in it, and I suspect it will actually make the car drive more like a Demon than a Redeye. So as we know, you get the drag settings in this vehicle on your suspension, which gives it a very soft kind of lift in the front, while also allowing the car in the rear to kind of squat down. So different suspension setup in this one, which kind of makes it unique and special, and that's one of the big differences between this and the normal Redeye, is that awesome suspension. Here is the interior of the Super Stock. I absolutely love this demonic leather interior, this red. I, as you guys know, am a big fan of that, but it really just looks like a normal Redeye in here. But it is very, very nice. And of course, this thing really is a cross. You can see the HELLCAT emblem there, but this thing really is a cross between the Demon and the Redeye. So I didn't expect there to be a lot of differences in here, but let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin and see how it drives. As you can see, this particular vehicle stickers at $89,565, but this is a lot of car for the money. So now that I'm actually aboard the 2020 Challenger Super Stock, it's a very familiar place for me to sit. Like I said, I do really, really like this leather in here. But it's just like sitting in Mrs. X's 2019 Challenger Scat Pack. Everything in here is really nice and usable, very driver-centric in terms of the way the dash wraps around. This car actually goes about 168 mile an hour top speed. So I do want to point this out because, as we know, the Redeye is rated to over 200 miles an hour. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the diff in the car. It actually has to do with the tires that are on the back of this thing. They're drag radials. They simply aren't rated for speeds above that. Now, if you were to do a tune, kind of like what the Demon had the crate, the top speed of this car goes up significantly. It's not that the car's not capable of going a lot faster. It's just, like I said, it's a limitation of the tires because they want this car to stick and go. So definitely something to consider there. Now, from the driver's seat, it looks basically identical to a Redeye. So we'll go ahead and give it a quick start. As you can see, there you go. So not a whole lot of difference there. I have to admit that driving the Super Stock, it really does feel a lot like driving a Demon. So, truth is that you can really feel that the suspension in this car is a little bit softer, even in just the normal drive settings. So part of it is probably the tires, part of it is probably the suspension. I don't have this in drag setting right now. I'm just cruising around in street mode, but the car actually, I mean, it still drives nice, but it does remind me a little bit more of the Demon ride than the Redeye. I've driven several of both, and that really is the truth of it. It's kind of like when you drive a 1320 Scat Pack. The 1320 just drives a little bit different than the normal Scat Pack. The normal Scat Pack actually has maybe a little bit of a stiff ride, especially if it doesn't have the dynamic drive modes in it. But I will say that this one here, it still rides nice. I mean, for a car that is this fast, it still has a pretty nice ride for the street, which is exactly what Dodge intended to do. So at the end of the day, if you are somebody that wants power, but you don't go to the track a lot, this is another one that, like, I don't necessarily know if you would use a lot of the features that you have in this car. You would almost be better off going with a normal Redeye. And if you do go to the track, there's lots of stuff you can do to that car to essentially make it just like this. I mean, really, you've got a couple of things, the torque reserve that come on this that you don't necessarily get, but you can still make a Redeye really, really fast if you want to do that specifically for the track. But I will say it is a nice driving car, very enjoyable. What a good looking car. Essentially, it does look just like a Demon because of the stance. It's just a little bit different, and of course it still looks like a HELLCAT because of the hood and of course the Redeye badges on the side. But a very neat vehicle indeed. I do really like it. Is it worth the price? Is it worth that $90,000 or the $95,000 when you get it all said and done? Really, that's up to you. If you're looking for a bad to the bone drag machine, they don't make the Demon anymore, so this is the one to get. If you're looking for something to just tool around on the street, I would recommend maybe the normal Redeye. Well, and that about does it for my review on the 2020 Challenger Super Stock. A fantastic machine for somebody like me that's a gearhead that loves to drag race. That is pretty much the best car on the market, at least in my mind. What a fantastic machine. For those of you that are not drag racers, maybe this isn't the one for you. That doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. It's just very purpose-built, just like the Demon was. And I do want to take one quick second and thank my buddies at AutoNation Dodge on the north side of Fort Worth, North Richland Hills, for letting me not only take a hard look at this car, but drive the car, because I know there aren't very many of these running around. So anyway, it's been a fun one, guys. Let me know what you think about the Super Stock in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.